thicker than water.
Watch, Scythus. He does so. His Arcadian mother has ordered it, so Scythus Nemetar, scion of the Ironrack, stares from the window of their coral manor out into the open abyss. He is not sure he wants to. The Nemetar family's stronghold stands towards the edge of Priam city, overlooking the kelp fields where the Namarti labour. As a result, he has an unobscured view of the wild alapexes tearing through half-souled thralls just beyond the walls. Scythus's keen eyes, attuned to the ocean's lightless gloom, can pick out where the water is being darkened by gore jetting from broken bodies. I thought. Scythus pauses as his mother glances at him. He is not really paying attention to the Namarti, and he knows their suffering is not the point. Scythus cares only for the alopexes. Something in their bewitching, single-minded frenzy speaks to him. As a band of Arcalians, led by an Embaler priest, move to corral the beasts, he swallows, searching for words. You thought they were our creatures, his mother finishes. Then she does something so unexpected it will stay with him even over centuries of blood and brine. His mother kneels and rests a hand upon his shoulder. Instantly the Idoneth child wishes to recoil, but she does not relent, and so neither shall he. They are our creatures only as long as our will remains paramount, his mother says. Scythus listens, even as he watches the Embaler's arm being ripped away in a sudden snapping flurry. Falter, and they become predators, like any other. Remember that, in their hearts, they are only predators. Scythus opens his eyes. He grimaces. He grimaces often now. It has been that way since a Khainite murder maiden carved off half his face at Hagnar. This campaign along Akshui's Charwind coast, in which they now fight alongside that bloodthirsty order to silence townships once bound to Anvilgard, has not improved his mood. But High King Alternos has commanded it, and so his strong right hand will see it done. Huntmaster Nemetar had been recovering from a blow dealt by Morathi herself when the alliance had been struck. He would, unsurprisingly therefore, have argued against joining with the murder god's daughters. Yet the Idoneth played their part in the fall of Anvilgard, and when the god king's hammer descends, it may strike against them too. To ensure that no word of their treachery, call it what it is, all things considered, reaches his ear, he will go to any length. They have slaughtered 4 Sigmarite settlements now to that end. This is the 5th. Seated atop his deep mare steed, Nemetar watches the last defenders try to rally. The human soldiers can barely move amidst the crashing ether sea, whilst the elves are as packs of maddened Fangamoras. The daughters take their time to purge every street, screaming war oaths around their vile cauldron. The statue atop that wheeled altar has already been subtly altered, its features made more reminiscent of the reborn Morathi-Khaine. Nemetar sees it. He wonders if the Khainites do. His own blood-serf hunt, at least, fights with customary efficiency. The death they deal is quick, if not clean, for the alopexes that his elite Arcalians ride are always kept ravenous. But Nemetar knows that it is not cruelty that motivates his bound beasts. They hunt because they know nothing else, and in them he sees kindred spirits. The huntmaster nods as a shoal of Alopex riders passes, before dismounting and dropping to the slick flagstones of the town square. Within a near sub-vocal murmur, Nematar bids his deep mare slay as it wishes. His last mount was killed in the vaults of Morathi's citadel, but he knows this creature will return when he summons it. There has yet to be a beast he cannot break. He marches through the water and gore pooling at his feet towards the town's conclave chamber. The cool, echoing darkness is a welcome reprieve from the clamour outside. But that is not why he has come. The sweet aroma given off by Charwind flora burning in nearby braziers is near overpowering, but he remains focused at the figure at the heart of the chamber. Pristine white robes sway over a glittering armour and a sun-metal blade. The elf remains perfectly poised as he watches Nematar enter, head inclining in a nod. Huntmaster, you know me. We fought the demons together at Tor Glimmerous, the Lumineth Blademaster replies. Disdain threatens to overwhelm Nematar's cool demeanour. That such alliances between the mage god's estranged children do occur does not mean that he has to acknowledge it. You knew I was here? The Lumineth continued. The Soul Scryers confided their suspicions in me as we approached. Kin should deal with kin, and you have no room to chide. We know your kind's game, inveigling yourself with these vileth, and tugging at their puppet strings, whilst wearing the mask of the advisor. So classically Idoneth a statement, blind to all nuance outside your own desperate selfishness. Unity has its uses, or at least it did until you shattered those bonds. What do you think will happen now our enemies see civilization's defenders at each other's throats? Do you feel the dark powers will spare you more than the Thunderer will? Or is it your plan to hide, as always, and position Morathi's zealots in the onslaught's path before they do the same to you? Nematar does not acknowledge such lecturing. He draws his sword, raising it in a quick salute. The Lumineth responds, and the two elves hurl themselves at one another. What follows is not a drawn-out affair. The Lumineth is swift, and his great sword opens a score of wounds across the Idoneth's pale flesh. But Nematar's soul is that of the predator. Rip, tear, feast. Seeing the most minute of openings, Nematar breaks the exchange of blades to lash out. The Lumineth staggers as his sword clatters to the ground, severed hands still gripping the handle. Dropping to his knees, he readies himself and gives the nod. Nematar's sword rises. Stop! And despite everything, Nematar does. Wrathful humours surge once more as he turns to face the intruder. Neirathia, his counterpart in the Khainite coven, strides into the chamber alongside her entourage as if she were the Shadow Queen herself. Blood coats her body and drips from her knives in bright crimson trails. Smirking, she shakes her head before glancing at the Lumineth. Temper, Nematar. Remember our terms. We are permitted to choose the finest sacrifice for Morathi-Khaine, and right now that is this shining sun. She almost spits at the mutilated elf, features creasing in viperous glee. Before he realizes it, Nematar's grip tightens around his weapon. His soul. Careful, Nerithia turns whipcord fast, blade levelled. Her taunting cadence does not match the murder dancing in her eyes. For a moment, Nematar wants to release the shameful fury rolling within him, to cleave and rend until the chill of the ocean depths suffuses him once more. The Hag Queen continues, nonetheless.
Think, Huntmaster. If we fight, our warriors fight. If our warriors fight, our people fight. And if they fight, the goddess and your High King fight again. Those were not your king's orders, were they?
They were not.
Good.
Nerithia nods as the tension slowly drains, her entourage hauling the Lumineth out towards the waiting altars.
Had we fallen out, I would have hated to ruin the other side of that handsome face.
She laughs, just as she did when slicing into him at Hag Nar. For a moment their gazes lock, and Nematar cannot help but think of the empty black eyes of a wild alopex. She looks away, and all he has are memories of blood in the water and a mother's warning.
Come, Huntmaster. We have 4 more settlements to attend to, and I feel we are finally starting to understand one another.